Hey, we are back again. We are back today with our Patricia, our Amy, and Billy Zig. So good evening.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi
guys.
everyone.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Hi everyone. Great to
Hi,
be here.
everyone.
So we
By the
have
way,
America, England, Australia.
yeah, it's about
All
10:15 a.m. here. What time is it for you guys? For you
11,
ladies?
11:15 for me, but we're all in the same zone at the moment.
Okay, cool. Just some of us are at the top of the ball and some of us are under the ball.
We're higher than you. We're higher than you. Na,
Yeah,
na, na. You're at the bottom.
unreal. It's funny because in Australia we've always used down under. It's such a colloquial term.
Yes.
Oh, down under. And even when we say like I live in Melbourne, when I want to go to Sydney, I always say going up to Sydney, and they always say going down to Melbourne. Like, what's that about? We're doing going down a ball and up a ball and across to Adelaide.
I know, but I'd say I'm going up to Scotland, and they'd say they were
Yeah.
coming down here. Patricia, if she was
Is it?
going to say she's coming down here, and I'd say I'd be going up to her.
And they're further up the ball, obviously, so you are going up over it, and our minds have just sort of gone with that for years.
Mind you,
And
if I wanted to go and see Amy, I'd have to say I'm going across to see her.
That's right.
across, and Adelaide across because we're going. I'm going in a westerly direction. It's just ridiculous. The more you think
Yes.
about it, the more ridiculous it gets. And are you guys like me? Did you start trying to debunk flat Earth, or did you immediately? I know a lot of women get it quicker than what men do. My wife, my sister, just a lot of women that I encounter sort of get it quicker. They've seen through the lies. I don't know whether they can see when men are bullshitting or not. Excuse the French. All these men who have dominated the science field for so many years, and women haven't had a part of it. If you really think about it, right?
Here.
That's right. Yes.
I wrote about that in my book. If you know Hypatia in Alexandria, she was like a leading astronomer at the time, and she got cut to the, put on the stake and cut with sharpened seashells. That's how they killed her.
Oh.
They didn't like her
Oh my
theory.
God.
She was smarter than the guys. She was questioning them, putting up their
That
models.
sounds horrible.
It's horrible.
So just say you mentioned your book there. What we're going to do is this is Billy's first hangout. He's very excited.
And therefore, I don't know what I'm doing either. This is my first time.
We're going to have a bit of a chin wag, and then he's going to read us some of his book. And obviously, in Flat Earth, people will know who he is, and so forth, and the book. So we're having a little bit of a chat. Yes, it's a bit of a How long have you been a flat one?
Me, Karen?
Yeah, Amy's pretty new. Amy's 2018.
Yes.
Patricia's about the same as me, about 4 or 5 years, aren't you, Patricia?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm the same. 2014, 15, when the whole thing. I remember when I first heard about it. Was a guy on Facebook that posted something, and I couldn't handle it. It was like, what are you talking? Even though I'd researched nearly every conspiracy theory in the past, when I heard about flat Earth, this one was like, no freaking way. I've got Greek background, so I'm very proud of of what I thought the Greeks had put into the field of astronomy. And hey, I was wrong, and it took me a while to get over it. And I remember that time when the guy told me, I was like, no way, what are you talking about? Then other friends got into the chat, and it became a really blown out thing. He ended up deleting me. Other friends deleted me who'd just seen that I knew this guy just by association, if you like. And it set me on a journey to debunk flat Earth. I think it was about 2 or 3. Then nothing happened. Then 2-3 months later, like everyone else, you see it again.
Hey,
it's
Billy, that's what I did. I came in to debunk it, and one video was water seeks its level, and that was it for me. But I spent years still looking at it and saying, every night I wanted to, let's check that video. Yeah, let's do every night. Yeah, look, they're saying it. They're saying, oh, look, now there's this. And then you start becoming a group, and then you start having hangouts, and it just goes on.
Definitely. You form a bias. You either form a bias immediately. Like with me, it was like, no way the Earth is flat. Well, that's forming a bias. And then I started looking at all the debunking flat Earth videos, and I wouldn't touch the you know, flat Earth proof videos. Like, even though, you know, I'd seen, look, you know, within day one, there's something wrong. When I didn't believe in the moon landing since, 2005. And even though I didn't believe in the moon landings, I still trusted NASA. Like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like,
it is hard to get your head around that. We're not just talking, it's not just you're driving down the road and you can't go down that road. You get to that road, oh, that one's health, oh, education, oh, what we're living on, oh, water seeks level, oh, the sun isn't what it is, oh, and it just goes on and it goes on, and it's like
it goes on and on.
Oh, and politics is a load of rubbish. Oh, history's a lie. What do you mean history's it's just everything.
It's compounding, isn't it? And especially when you start hearing things like gravity is fake, and it's like, what do you mean gravity is fake? You know, like grab your lighter or whatever you've got handy, you'll drop it on the desk, and it's just silly. It's just, but who's a gravity expert? Like, as if we're gravity experts anyway, right? You know, our gravity was taught to us by
I've just thought, you know, when you get really stuck, because you can use this word a lot, and occasionally you find yourself saying it, you know, the gravity of things, you know, it's like a balance of things, so it means balance.
And just where things rest. Like, to me, I've come to, like, if I was God and I had to do an up and, like, would you have an up and down if you were God? I'm asking you, would you? You would, wouldn't you? Would you have a left and right? That way, that, you know, all way, wouldn't you? You'd form directions. And to me, if I form some, I'd like make things fall down. And unless you exerted another force onto that object, well, it's not going to move. You know, if my phone is down on the desk right now, but if I lifted it up, exerted a force, you know, that's the force. It would have been all right if I didn't move it. Do you know?
You know what's really weird? We know we're sitting at our whatever desks, tables, sofas, and we're a level looking out. And yet, in reality, Billy, we're supposed to be almost like head to head, because you're down there the other way. So it's like head.
Very silly.
We're talking to each other upside down.
And guess what triggered me? It was funny because along the way, you know, I've been following Santos Bonacci for 10 years, or 10 years, like probably 15 years now, 10 years prior to hearing Flat Earth. So then I saw him, I was Facebook friends with him, and I remember him coming out and saying, you're all baboons if you think the Earth, you're living on a spinning ball, the Earth is flat. And I actually debated with him. It's like, hang on, Santos, we've been following for years. He can't call us baboons, you know. Blah, blah, blah. He ended up deleting me, but then I started seeing a journey. Like, my journey was seeing all these people that I've been following who are becoming flat earthers, like Santos Bonacci, Marty Leeds, you know, that just come to mind. Do you know what I mean? So you sort of go, hang on a second, that guy's, you know, looking at it. Well, maybe I should look at it openly. And it took me about 7 months, to be honest, to sort of break free, you know, to get that, you know, your hair tingling moment.
It's not even just that for me, though. It's the whole deception of everything. You know, before I was on Unscrambled, you know, I was looking at astronauts. I did the same thing with astronauts. I got about 10 videos, and I broke them down, and I spent hours going through these videos to show people paused astronauts and all the crap. I mean, how they would never let us go on that thing with all the wires. They would never let anybody go on it. It's dangerous. It's just ridiculous. And the thing is that when you see it, right, just because you can ask Amy that, because she's she's known that something's wrong, but when you see it, you can't go back, can you, Amy? Amy?
That's right.
Yeah.
You cannot. You can't go back. Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
As you've seen it, you can't go back. You just can't.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. You see life in a different way, don't you?
I just always had a feeling. It just came to me this something's wrong. I thought to myself, I think this is the Earth is flat. Just like kind of came to me, and then I was trying to find like information about it, but I couldn't find any, because like if you Google it or whatever, all you can find is things that debunk flat Earth. Is all
exactly, yeah.
About,
and they ridicule the topic.
It's just debunking it. So I didn't know what to think. And she told, I didn't even know there was a such thing as people that believed in flat Earth. Because, you know, if you're reading comments about, say, somebody's debating something, and then they don't like what you said, they'll say, "I bet you're one of those flat earthers." You
Yeah,
probably believe that.
well, what is it? Just to say, Billy, I didn't take flat Earth too scrambled as words, but in a reality, Amy knows that. Oh, wait, Patricia knows.
Yeah.
Patricia knows as well that 3/4 of the stuff, or is going on unscrambled, is flat Earth, really. But I just don't say it.
Yeah, it's one of those two words.
What I'm saying is, they get the same information, a lot of it, but I don't have to keep, you know, we're talking about it as flat Earth on this channel, but on the other channel, I don't say it. So I don't have to, because Amy didn't know. But then obviously I started talking about flat Earth. So that was how. So Amy, so we didn't start talking to each other for that reason. We were talking on the Watts case, this ridiculous case, and then Amy got the full thing, didn't you, Amy? Now Amy's understood it, and now she comes on our Hangouts, and she's a really good friend.
That's true.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And that's how it happened.
When I started talking to Patricia, she said, well, what she kept saying was, the clouds go on and on and on, and that's yeah. And then Patricia started coming on Hangouts. How long ago is that now, Patricia? 3 years, 4 years, I don't know.
Oh, it's probably about 4.5. Something like that. I mean, it's one of those things.
I think it's 3 years we've been doing the Hangouts. I think it's about 3 years. But we've been going, you know, until May of this year. We were going 5 nights a week, 50 odd weeks of the year. So it might have felt longer, Patricia.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny? It's those little subtle hints that you can say to someone, just anything, and if they're switched on and they've already been looking into the topic. Hey, they'll come, you know, you'll get to flat Earth before you know it. Because if you say, I don't even bring up flat Earth anymore. I'd rather say to someone, hey, have you heard those people who are flat Earthers that are saying that the Earth doesn't spin 1,000 miles an hour? And then people look at you and go, what? We spin 1,000 miles an hour? And then, so you start it from that way, right? Because it proves that they don't know their model. Do you know what I'm saying? You reverse it. I've had so many arguments on this topic. I'm a moderator of a couple of big groups, and one of them is, you know, the largest group out there. It's official Flat Earth and Globe discussion group. There's 126,000 people on there now. I think I joined when there was 3,000 people. So I've had, I don't know, maybe 10,000 debates, if I counted them.
Billy,
I wish I had a dog.
Billy, the way I see it, right, is I'm for the ones that have already got there. I can't do all that. I'm not into all that debating and stuff. Yeah, I'm for the awake I
try not to debate. I sort of had to take a different look. I hate arguing with people. I'm a friendly guy. I go out and I make friends with people. So why am I arguing with strangers for? Man, I've had death threats over this topic. To be honest, do you really want to hear the worst thing? I've been attacked at the pub over this topic because of flat Earth. So whatever, I got him. You know, it ended up well for me. So whatever. It's crap. I hate the argument. It shouldn't be. So now I don't look. My son's 27 years old now. When I told him about it 5 years ago, you could just imagine the arguments in our household. My wife's Italian. I'm Greek, so they're twice as feisty as me, right? So, yeah, I had to let it go. You can't argue with family, friends. It's not even worth doing that. It's not worth it. That's part of what, you know, sorry to go back to my book, but that's part of what I started, what my book became was writing a book where two mates, one is a flat earther, one isn't a flat earther. And you see that transition of them learning off each other, still being mates along the way. And there's an outcome, and anyway, sorry to take over. But
hey, Billy, that's a really nice way of putting it. You could have put it two people that started hating each other and the arguing, and that's how the globe world would put it. But you didn't. You put it. Yeah, I like the way you put that.
And I won't read the whole book, but I'll literally just turn it to chapter 1. I'll go chapter 1. The first thing that says in the first line is, "What do you mean the Earth is flat?" And I won't use this, you know, there's a profanity there, but I'll change the profanity. What do you mean the earth is flat? Have you lost your friggin' mind, Max? Replied Sam, his sudden outburst causing several nearby diners at the outdoor cafe to turn their heads to see what the commotion was all about. But these are two guys who were best friends, and, you know, even his best friend couldn't handle it, because that's what happens. That's real life. And, you know, I've seen people sort of pick up a book and read that first line and have a snigger. And it's as globe earthers, sort of go, all right. Oh, you know.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something on that bit, just that topic?
Please.
You've got, like, when you talk, it's horrible. You classify them now as the globe people, because there's such a distinct line here. But my friends, it's like you can talk about anything, but I don't talk about the flat earth. But they can talk about anything they want, but you're not allowed certain things. That's the way I see it. Yeah.
That's amazing, actually, Karen, because, you know, I was always a big, you know, into ancient aliens, and I remember for even night, you know, being in, you know, 10 years old, I thought I saw a UFO. We all thought we saw a UFO. Who knows what it was? We saw a fast flying object. I don't know what they had back then, is how I look at it now. But back then, if I told someone I believed in UFOs, like, man, you were crazy. Now it's a different story. Now, if you don't believe in UFOs, you're freaking crazy. So what have they done? What have they had that programming over the years, you know, with all that Star Wars, Star Trek, you know, Interstellar, and all that stuff has really changed our way. But you're right, we can't even.
Yeah, do you know what they've done? Because I went like a couple of years ago with Martin Leakey and a few other people, and we went to the Space Centre at Leicester, and the parents were going, look at the spaceship, because they're only half size and pretend, but look at the spaceship. Look at it. So what I said, I remember on the day, I said, oh my God, the parents, they're romanticising it.
Yeah.
It's not real. And anyway, it's not romantic. It's rockets going into space. But they've romanticized. Look at it dying. And it's all a lie. That's the bit that annoys me, because you know, I did it on my paused astronaut video, but it's the same for everything. But when they make you believe in something that's not real, what they've done is they've taken your freedom away, because now you're believing in all these things that aren't real. Now you've got an opinion and all this stuff for something that's not even real. So that's for taking your freedom away.
Yeah, and they've taken opportunities away, because if we're looking that way instead of looking that way, well, that's a classic trick by any magician. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, look over there in space and all that sort of stuff. Well, we can't even go that way. You know, people say, why don't you go to Antarctica? Man,
and guess what? Guess what's happening? We're relying on a couple of people saying.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And look, those people were
we didn't see it for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what's really sad is, all you've got to do is go to the NASA pictures and look at the time lapse of NASA rockets, and you'll see the time lapse brings the rocket down.
Yes,
definitely. Yeah, and you know, just even if you watch the you know, all their figures on what they're showing you, like how many kilometers it's going, it's just BS. Like, there's no way when you look at that thing, it's flying as high as it is, right? Well, they switched to cartoon within 20 seconds. So what are we really seeing with NASA? They can't be trusted as an entity for, you know, for information. I can't do it.
That's right.
Plus, there are genuine people starving, very poor.
Yeah,
you need blankets, need real things, and they're taking supposedly $50-odd million a day to spend on something that's not real, to spend on their fake news and their fake wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to control the people. It's just it's the most, honestly, I think it's disgusting what we live in. We all think that there's been this utopia. Well, to get people over to America in the 1800s, and they did the same thing, I think, like Hitler. Basically, they get there and it's like, oh, there's illnesses on the ship, you need to be quarantined. And while they're quarantined, they've taken the children and they sold them. And that's what the Second World War was all about. It was the same thing. I'm not saying it was the only thing they were doing in that, but one of the things they did in that war was to do the same thing, was to take the children.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm thinking, where has the utopia been?
Yeah, and without
and listen as well, very quickly. There's all this history. It sort of starts from 16 something, when the person from Holland goes over, and then it's called New Amsterdam, and then we come over, and you know, we're saying, hey, you know, like, we don't like New Amsterdam, it's got to be New York, or we're going to fight you, so they change the name. And then suddenly all the immigrants come in and they go, well, we've been allowed to do what we like, but you're not. Quarantine them and so forth. What I'm saying is, from this moment on, whoever won, them have made the law and the rules and the history, but that doesn't mean it was the real history. It just means they won, so they've made the history. That happened because we know that because of all the, I just call it Tartaria because it covers all these unknown buildings that look quite Roman-like, that we're building, like some of them 1600, 1200, these great big churches in the 11th century. I mean, look at them. It would take months and months and months to build, and you'd need cranes and everything. Well, they got these buildings up, so there's all that, and that's what they've changed. They've lied about it. Oh,
yes,
they sure have. They sure have. And you know how you said about World War II. I reckon part of that was destruction of the buildings. Now that even look at Paris in the 1900s, and look at it. I mean, not 1900s, in 1900, pre-World War I and pre-World II, and then look at it 30 years later. I mean, we've lost so many buildings that just disappeared.
I so agree with you, and it's not just that, because you know, like, so I don't want to talk too much about this, and I don't want to take over either. But 9/11 was loads of things. It was it was going in to have a war in the Middle East. It was the Patriot attack. It was bringing those buildings down, the Tesla buildings. It was so on and so on. So the Second World War was the same thing. It was taking those buildings out, selling our children, and not just that, we were electric before these wars, and then we went to oil. So it was about destroying the infrastructure so they could bring in oil and petrol, and you know, we were eco-friendly, and these things, we were going the right way.
Yeah, and you know what, Karen, you're right. And it wasn't just the one thing, because if it was one, if the motive was for one reason only, you wouldn't do it. But there's multiple reasons, like even with 9/11, whatever. There's multiple reasons why you do something at that level. You don't just do it, you know. But anyway, you know, hey, do you want me to screen? You know how you brought up Tartaria? As we're talking, do you want me to screen share some of the?
Oh yeah, very quickly though. What people don't realise is it's not Russia against America. They're all in it together.
No, it's not. And, you know, that's the game they played as kids. You know, even I remember being a kid and going to see war games at the cinemas. It was like 1984 or something. And Russia, America, you know, Russia, America. And that was the game they keep playing. However, Russian, America. But what does America do now, and who does it rely on to get its astronauts to the International Space Station? America. It pays them like $84 million per seat one way. So here you are.
And you know what's really weird? Look at that.
You hate Russia, but here you are trusting them with your most highly praised astronauts.
Yeah, not just that. We've had that treaty with Antarctica. Nobody argues there. Nobody argues in space. It's ridiculous. And anyway, Unscrambled shows that when Trump and Putin were together, Putin was glitching. He wasn't there. It wasn't a real film. Anyway, what are we going to talk about? Do the screen share, yeah? Hey, Patricia, do you want to say anything?
Goes on and on, doesn't it? You know,
Patricia. She'll stay really. If we're all yabbering away, she goes quiet.
Interjecting when I do as well.
Yeah, Patricia, do you want to say anything?
No, not really. I'm just listening. But yeah,
and you know, I've been hanging to show you this, Karen, and I'm about to release a video with all these photos, so you're going to get a bit of a.
Okay, 2 seconds. Billy, Patricia, what were you going to say, Patricia? Let Patricia finish and then screen share. I'll tell you how to do it. It's all right. What were you going to say, Patricia?
No, you were saying about the war with Russia. It's again, it comes down to, if we're at war with somebody, whether it's true or not, we still pay our income tax, because I have to have this war constantly, whether it's a real war or not.
We've got to be at war. We've got to be. And I also, very quickly, because it's trying to just show you that relating. I found this video of Trump 32 years ago. Amy's listened to it. He talks exactly the same then as he does today. And he said he wasn't a politician. He wasn't running to be president, but he was. He was just biding his time. He did, Amy, didn't he sound exactly? There wasn't even like he said everything the same. It was like it was him today.
Yes.
As scripted as we know it is, right?
Scripted, yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm just going to really quickly just show you something. You know, maybe we could do another show on this, but I'll just check out. You know how you're saying, just this worldwide thing that happened that we don't know about, and these similarities between, you know, buildings, you know, that are placed all around the world. Check this out.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go.
Yeah, you need to go to the three little bars at the top right-hand side, and then yeah, I think you probably have to use it full screen share. I'm not sure.
I think I've got it. Oh, your
That's
screen share.
But I've got it. I don't see it on the computer.
Check this out.
Wait, I don't see it on the Billy. I don't see it on the computer. That's it. Got it. I've got to wait for it to come on the computer. Right, got it. Hang on. Right, just putting it up. Right.
Let me know when you can all see it.
Go for it.
So can you see my mouse moving around as well? I see this triangular thing. You pointed it out. You know, this rooftop. Man, I've been asking some builders what they would call this, and they're struggling themselves. But see these similarities. This triangle area at the top of the building and the columns, right? And I'll just flick through. Oh, damn! I hope I don't. Look at this. This one's in Australia. This is the Shrine of Remembrance in Australia. You'll see again, you know, we're using this in Australia, and I don't know when this was built in the 1900s. This one here is the South Melbourne Council, built in 1878. Took them 2 years. And now I'll just go fast because I can't talk about each and every one of them. But look at these, right? Look at the similarity.
That sort of reminds me of
Yes.
Buckingham Palace a bit, that one.
Who are these people that they're depicting here? I don't even know. But look at this. This is just around the world. And I'm going to go really fast now, but you'll see what you'll see what I've collected.
Yeah.
A massive stock of these images. Look at this one here. I don't know what these people what was going on here, but hey, whatever. But yeah, even Petra, look at Petra, right? All around the world. This is quite, look, some people might say, hey, that's just the way they built things. And, you know, that's the way you do a roof. And that's the way you put 6 columns on everything. But let me get right to the end. And you're going to see something, right? Because it might become something we can talk about a little bit of who is doing this to us, right? And you'll see these are some of these in the Philippines in jungles. Look at this, right? You know, that one's freaky. What's going on there? But look at these ones carved into mountain cliffs. Like, why would you do that? And who did that? More to the point.
Yeah, I mean, like, how could they carve and do all that kind of stuff? I mean, we could.
Mind-boggling. That one is mind-boggling. Like,
yeah.
What did you do? Where was your?
Is that in Fethiye? They have those in Turkey.
Yeah, where did you start? I think that might be in Turkey. Actually, I wish I named. You know, I named each and every one of these.
I think that's Fethiye in Turkey. And do you know what? They actually did those to go out so that they said in Turkey they were buried there so that the soul could go out to sea. But I mean, then a lot of them aren't pointing over the sea anymore. So that can't be true. They'll say, oh, well, the water used to come up here at that point when they buried them. And some of them are by water. But I don't think it's true. They wouldn't do it for that reason. There's another reason.
And what were they doing, these guys? Like, is this a flat earth with a dome above us? With God right on top? I don't friggin' know. You know, but it's interesting, isn't it, when you look at that one? Like, what's going on? And check this out.
How did they build these things?
And where's the people? Like, look at these.
I mean, look at the Brighton Dome. Look at that. Built in 17 something.
Yep, who did that? You know, like, wow, just mind-boggling stuff. Like, mind-boggling. And I'll just skip. Hopefully I get to the very end soon because, you know, we'll move on. But this is part of the destruction. You know, I don't know what that's doing there. That one's got something there. But I'll get to the very last one. You know, these are amazing. And I implore people to look into this topic because even if we don't know what is going on or what, we'll never get answers. You just go, wow, you know.
You know what? When they depict Romans, they look like, not maybe all of the building, but that bit with the triangle bit and the pillars, that's all you see in those old Roman films.
That was what I found, the similarity between every one of these buildings. Sure, some look different, but they all have like a fingerprint. And if I was ruler of a world and I went everywhere, You know, we don't know. Like I heard David Weiss bringing up friggin' the world had airships everywhere. And hey, we were told that at school there was airships, but we didn't know how far these airships went. Who knows what happened? I don't really know. I don't know.
Because in Wiltshire, in the next county to me, they've got chalk courses on the hills, and they're to be seen from the sky. And they've been there for hundreds of years, supposedly.
Hey, and how's this? In Australia, we've got a place called Gympie in I think it's northern New South Wales, or it might be Queensland actually. But there's pyramids there. There's a pyramid that's covered up by dirt. It's like you see in China. You know those pyramids that are covered up. Now our government at the moment is trying to put they're trying to not take this thing down and put a freeway through it. All the Aboriginal people are going, no, you can't do that, because the Aboriginals in Australia have a myth where people flew to this country and they came to mine gold from here. And you know, it's like there's even hieroglyphics that are found in Sydney. There's been a 10,000-year-old pendant found in Western Sydney. It's just unbelievable things that we really don't know. Like, what do our controllers tell us, right? And I'll go right to the end and I'll show you who and how. This is in Melbourne, by the way. This is our main station, Flinders Street Station, like built in 2 years. While they're building everything else in 2 years, they're doing, you know, everything got done in 2 years, apparently. Now, this is my last.
Yes, that's really weird. Buckingham Palace was 2 years. 2 years. It's a year. When they built that pier in Brighton, it was a year. It's ridiculous.
And look at that building in the background, right? You'll see it's got that same, you know, pyramidal shape at the top with the 6 columns going down. And now I'll get to my, you know, so like the Melbourne one doesn't have the 6 columns, but look, it's got the same pyramidal thing. And this is right. Check this out. Have you heard of these guys? The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. I mean, look them up. They control friggin' everything. And look what they've got. A pyramidal roof with 6 columns used by the acronym, the abbreviation, I mean. Do you see what I mean? Like, seriously, yeah. We don't know. We don't know. We're still learning because we've been asleep for so many years, man. We've all been like, I'm going to stop sharing now. But I wanted to show you that.
Thank you, Billy. I know it's just so frustrating because you know, like there's just too many things. The people don't match what we've got at the time they say that we had it, or the time we got it, or anything. Yeah. But as I said, they've had to lie about the history. And that's why they've been systematically destroying things. And you're probably right. That's why they destroyed Europe, basically. England and Europe got destroyed in that Second World War.
So, yeah. The more I look at that, it's like, what a perfect way to...
But that's what it was about. Destroying, taking children.
Yeah. The people would never have allowed such destruction if it wasn't for a reason. And you know, when there's bombs and things, all the people can do is go, oh, what a shame we lost that building. But they don't know the truth. They didn't know the true reason for it.
Well, they didn't care. You know, it's only when you wake up, you start seeing the significance of all these things, and they mean different things, and something that wouldn't have interested you 5 years ago really interests you now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, these buildings have always interested me. I've always been like, how'd they do that? Even with the pyramids, how'd they do that? You know, because I don't take their answer. I don't take the mainstream explanation. You know, their answer, because all they do is use would be, could be, maybe, possibly. And I don't use that. I'm not a child anymore.
Can I just ask, Amy, Patricia, do you have any buildings like that near you?
Well, I guess like the Capitol in Washington, D.C. has a lot of sort of similar buildings there.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. We have buildings similar to that in Washington, D.C. in the capital, you know, of the country. That we have if you've ever been there or seen pictures of it, we have a lot of those types of buildings there, but that's the closest I can think of, you know, other than maybe some really big cities or something like that.
It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing, actually, Patricia, because if you look at even in the past, Amy, I'm so sorry, Amy. I should have looked on the screen. But if you look at the past, And if you look at the things like the New Orleans World Fair, which I'd never heard of, it was like in 1888 or something like that. You know, might be a few years off, but and they tore them down, and you just go, wow. Like if you saw these photos, you just go, what happened? Like, why did they get rid of them? And they say they built them in a couple of years and then knocked them down. They didn't need them anymore. And, you know, I don't really get that.
I know. Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't think we're ever going to work it out. You know, we're never going to. And some people don't care. Some people are just sheep and they don't think. It's like, I don't care. I don't care about if they're lying. You know, and there are other people like us and we do care. And we want to, you know, we've got inquisitive minds. And the world needs a bit of both, I'm going to say.
I know. That's right.
Do you know what's really sad? Just a minute ago, Patricia said that we basically in our taxes pay this income tax because they've always got to keep us at war. And the really sad thing is that we're paying for them to be at war with us. Because this is warfare on the people. Yeah. And you wonder, even in Australia, or every country, the people pay taxes when you're working, then you pay for the petrol, then your land tax, all the multiple taxes. What about you pay taxes on your wages, you put it in your savings account, and to get it out, you've got to pay more taxes to get it out. Yeah, and they estimate that our military spend in Australia pretty much equals what the Australian people pay on taxes. So what are we paying for? War? You know, but they won't let us have a gun. They're pretending that we're going to war with all these countries, but really the only war is on us because that's what they're doing it. They're doing it to control us through it. And you've got to use your weapon. You've got to use your ammunition. So if you buy bullets, well, it's got an expiration date, so you've got to use it, right? So they know that. So they know when they build these missiles, well, it can't just sit around for 50 years just in case. So they instigate things. Well, that's what I reckon anyway. I can't prove that, but what I can prove, and that's what I started to do. So I'm going to change. Do you know what? I actually thought that they were flattening these countries because these countries didn't want to be part of the American banking system. That's why he came in at flat earth like that. But now I realise that each country buys the news and the news makes what they want to make. Make me a war, make me a disaster. That's what Amber, whatever her name is, in 2014 came out with, that she'd made this documentary and she wanted to air it. She was the CNN reporter and they said, no, sorry. Well, they would air it, but not how she thought they were going to air it. She said, oh, no. She basically got told that they buy the news. And she just said, what hope is there? One of the last port of call is a reporter reporting it. If they can't tell the truth, it's, you know, like she's just saying how it's like the end, really, if you can't even get a truth from a reporter. But to know that they buy it, and they go, can you buy, we're paying for you to make the what case? We're paying for you to do the impeachment on Trump. And that's what they're doing.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're all part of it because it's all part of the game.
I reckon some of the people who enter the game, you know, like that reporter, she probably thought, oh, I could change things. I can change the world. And they get in and go, no, I can't. You know, it's just so controlled. She won't have a career ever again now, will she? And that's even if she was a real person. Because don't forget, they like to tell you the truth and then lie at the same time. You just don't know who's telling the truth anymore. These, you know, usually anybody that's got any limelight and is telling us is just been put in there to lie to us. You know, the information we're given through them is a lie. That's right. And it's hard when you got kids and you try and tell them. I mean, they're really going for this impeachment. But I mean, I did a video the other day. My son wanted his wife to watch it today. It was the one where I was explaining that they basically get you there. They're talking about deepfake and they're actually saying to you, it's actors. And I'm thinking, well, there you go then. And then they're saying they can't tell the difference between the fake ones, the real ones, the good ones, the bad ones. And in the next breath, I could find something that said they've identified what it is. They've got people making the deepfake, and then you've got people making the programs that YouTube and Facebook could put in, the algorithms, to stop all this happening. Yeah. But of course, they can't do it, can they? Because if YouTube brought it in and Facebook, nearly the whole of YouTube and Facebook would disappear. I mean, there'd be no news, no politics, no crime watch cases, and then we'd see who really what they were doing. So they can't do it. It's like, and then basically they bring you there to talk about deepfake, and then they go back to the desk and they go, oh, well, and then they go, well, you know, we have to be a bit careful here because
We're going to war with Iran. Basically, this is how they do it. They bring you in
Yeah.
on one subject to tell you something else.
Perfect distraction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Perfect, actually. When you put it like that, it makes it just, you know.
It's horrible to have to even think like them.
Yeah, and can we prove, and like, that's the thing, when I used to debate with my son, and, thing is, my kids have all, now, if I bring up, if flat earth comes up, they don't even talk about it. It's like, hey, that's, given, because they know they can't prove it. I've given them so many times to prove that it's a ball. But what happens is, I remember us during debates, and, some other topic will come up, like 9/11, and my son would say, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist, Dad. And I get him, because can I prove 9/11? Can I really, really prove 9/11 was?
Yeah, but you know what? You can, because you know that everything is wrong.
I
mean,
deduce
the footage, the stories, how it happened, the buildings, the planes. I mean, you cannot fly planes at that speed, at that altitude. You can't.
I physically can't
and
go
do you
to
know what's even worse, though? Look at all the footage they've ever shown us. You always quite clearly, fairly slowly see the planes come in. A couple of them are faster, and some of them bank and all that. But if a plane was going 600 miles an hour, say at sea level, because that's what it was called, sea level, even though it's a few hundred feet up, you would never see the thing coming. You'd only ever hear it in that echo, in that time delay afterwards. You'd never see it. We'd never be able to film it. It would be like a fighter going, those fighters go across the sky. They're going about 600 miles an hour. Do you see them? No, you only hear them, and then you only see them for that split second as they go whoosh across the sky. That's what it would have been like on 9/11.
I know.
The footage is all wrong. Those planes, one of those planes was doing nearly 600 miles an hour. Anyway, Pilots for Truth, they said that to actually hit the Twin Towers, they had these, they hadn't quite passed their test, but they'd done hundreds of hours of simulating and whatever they'd done, so they were quite experienced. The only way these people could get these planes to fly into the Twin Towers was to do it at landing speed, which is 40 miles an hour. No way could they ever hit, because basically it's a bit like on the ground, the Twin Towers were huge, but from the sky, they're still a needle in a haystack. So to fly in at these speeds, at that low thing and the whole thing, it'd be really difficult. It'd be really difficult.
It has to do with the atmosphere and the air pressure and all of that.
You could never fly those things in.
But you can't fly a plane that fast. So
you could only ever hit them if you were going slower.
Exactly.
And do you know the thing that people don't realise is that when something hits something else, so say I hit Amy or you hit something on something, there's always a vibration and a reaction, a to and a fro going on. So the moment that plane hit, you would have seen the crack, bang, smash, woof of fire as the thing went in. The plane just goes into the building. It's like, we're so stupid.
And we bought it hook, line and sinker. Like I was flying the next day. I was living in Adelaide, flying to Sydney, and I took the first flight in the morning after 9/11 happened. Like, I watched it all night, and then I'd get on a plane, and I was crapping myself. Like, I hook, line and sinker, bought into the whole thing, and until I remember, I used to type 9/11, and I'd eat up everything on the news. 9/11, 9/11. I'd type on the internet, and then one day I had the guts, and I thought, I'm going to type hoax after this 9/11 word, right? And then, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Rushing back to my wife going, did you know this? Did you know that? Like, man, it's mind blowing, because if you just.
Can I tell you something? I think they've done the same thing with it as well. Like, when I was looking up 9/11 before I got into Flat Earth, there was so much information. There were so many places to go, even if some of it was rubbish or fake or whatever it was. But now when you go to look up 9/11, even putting in the collapse of the Twin Towers, it takes you many videos before you can actually find the collapse. They've changed everything. They've changed everything. They've even changed not just Flat Earth. They've changed 9/11.
It's too late, because when I speak to most people in Australia, they know like nearly, I'd say 70% of people will answer, that there's something dodgy. They won't say exactly what. We're very cautious here. It's like we live in probably the most, nanny state in the freaking world, man. We can't do. It's hard. This is going to get harder, I reckon. because they're shutting things down. And
but I think they've done. I think they've done that to everybody. But I think also it feels more like that. The more you know, the more you understand about it, because suddenly you realise the cog of it all. It's not just there's government and a bit of business, and you've got ombudsmen and you've got banks, and they're all separate. You've grown up thinking they're all separate, but they're not. They're just part of this illegal thing that they're doing. You know, this crime to humanity. It's all part of the same thing. They're just a part of that system. And it's just incredible. It's like this is a horror movie. I cannot believe that somebody would want to do this to the people, because it's layer upon layer, and whoever thought of this was very clever, weren't they?
Likewise, Karen, I didn't realise, like, you know, I've thought of God all my life, you know, and we hear the word devil, but, you know, I never thought there'd be Satanists on this world, right? And, you know, you've got people that go to the Church of Satan and they follow that. So then it makes you think, well, if you follow that, you follow things that are bad, because Satan wants bad on this world. So if there are literally people that follow Satan, and, you know, you could see the atheists online and the way they behave, mate, there's something wrong in this world, man.
Can I say something quickly? I know we're going to have to get onto your book in a minute, but I was watching,
I haven't even mentioned
watching this guy, right? He's not a flat earther, unfortunately, but his name's Richard D. Hall, and he was showing this whole system that Russia had to bring in communism, how the layers of how you demoralize the people, you take stuff away, there was layers of it. And he said, this is what he said, basically that one of these people was taken over to America, and this whole structure was made, and it was the same, except they took everything away from them, and they made us slaves to materials instead. That's the only difference. We've got the same demoralization, breaking up families. And you know, I hadn't even thought about it. I used to love this program called Jeremy Kyle, because that would come on no matter what was going on in your life. He would come on, so it's like Jerry Springer. You know, it's just got, you know, they're all arguing and they're trying to, you know, kill each other on the stage, and he's going, oh, whatever. And so it takes your mind off it. But I hadn't realised that that's just part of the system. So it's like, well, let's show people on benefits renting houses, and then of course then you get there and it's like they don't pay their rent, and we've got to take them to court. So nothing's ever nice. So it's always it's subversion. It's always mind controlling the people, but not realizing they're doing it, and they're using it. So they use Jeremy Kyle, so nobody can get on. Everybody's arguing, and everybody wants to kill themselves, kill each other rather. Then you've got you know, don't rent your houses out to people on benefits. That's really an attack on poor people, and you might get a few people who are like that, but not everybody's like that. But they're making programs on the telly about it, you know, reality programs. And it just goes on and on and on. And I just couldn't believe it that, you know, first of all, I used to just call it subversion, that we're living in subversion. But ultimately, they took communism and we've got the same thing. And it's, well, everybody else calls it one world order, don't they, or whatever it is.
Yes.
It's so plain to the eye when you see it, isn't it? You can't unsee it, you know. I wish I could go back to my normal life of, you know,
yeah, in a way, it was easier, wasn't it? When you were a globehead, you didn't think. You didn't think about all these things.
That's right. Oh.
I don't know about you. I'm an empath, and it's a bit like I can't tell anybody to do anything. That's not my job. But I feel that I just have been spending this last few years, even if it's going out to flat earthers, but whatever, just to try and help and wake more people up.
Yeah,
that's strange, isn't it? Because some people hear about this topic and, hey, they move on. Like, you know, a lot of people I know, they just know it's flat. Okay, cool, back to my job, do my thing. But there are some people like us where, hey, you know, we just won't settle till we tell more and more and more. And, you know, that's what I'm about. I just love sharing this message. And not about sharing the message. You know, it's because our senses have been taken away from us. Like,
yeah, and that's the sad bit, because there's all the other side, like etymology, and you don't even realise some of the words you're using. So you think they mean this. Like, for instance, just one simple one. We say hell-o.
Yeah.
We're saying hell. So really we should be saying good aura. Good aura, the astrology lady. It actually means the same thing as, like, hello. It's a nice thing. But we say good aura to everyone. No, we say hello.
I know.
But we don't mean it. That's not what we're saying, but that's what we're saying.
Can I give you another take on that, Karen? the word helio in Greek means the sun. We say, in Greek, I'm Greek, so when we say the word sun, we say ilio, which is the word halio, which is, so when you greet someone because of the day came. So you said hello, and yeah, I don't know. And it could be yours and it could be that one. Yeah. It's like, okay, you know, the word, and I've debated this with people to go, where does the word okay come from? Or the letter, you know, the acronym. I don't know, like, well, okay, in Greek, you say ola kala, that means all good. And that happens just to mean okay. So there's a lot of this stuff that we didn't get, you know, we don't get it. We're freaking lost because, you know, that's part of the trick that was done, that all the languages were divided. So we're never really going to work it out unless you know the 7 languages. You're never going to work out the stars unless you live 1,000 years or more, right? You know, because that's how long things take. And I think part of this was, do you ever get to the point where you're happy to not know it all?
I think I do sometimes, yeah.
It's a bit overwhelming sometimes, isn't it?
It becomes
Isn't
overwhelming.
it? And I reckon it's made that way, like we're not meant to know it all. And part of feeling free from the systems, just go, hey, I'm never going to know it all.
It's not that for me, right? It's that there is such a different way, and if only people understood, it's not an egotistical material way. You know, money is just an exchange of medium. It's not the most important thing.
Right.
And now look at it all. Look what they're doing. Look how everything's going to. We're almost the way it's going. We're not going to be able to afford to live at this rate.
No.
It's the way it's done, and it's like when you're filled up with all that and then all those stupid. You know, we can't help it. We all watched it, but now you know it's just my daughter. She watches all these Love Islands, and they're all arguing, and having affairs. The thing is, it's instilling things in people. People don't really. It's just. If I'd known what I know now, we never would have had the telly on. But we didn't have it on for that reason. But when you know that's what they're doing to you.
And if you, yeah, for sure. And if you look at the way they're doing that to children, like now we've got this thing in Australia, you probably have it there, married at first sight, where these people have never met and they get married. Now, as I said, I'm Greek background, and we've been doing that for friggin' centuries, right? And everyone used to hang shit on us like, hey, how can you do that? Have proxy weddings. Well, now they make shows about it and they get millions of views.
Yeah.
The social engineering that they've done, and you know what was good they've made bad, and you know what's up, as they say, is down. Like everything's just twisted and manipulated. It's just, and they've done a great job of it.
Back to front. It's almost like I feel like I shouldn't be here. It's all back to front.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the most horriblest place to me because I'm empathic. And there's not many of us, and it's just everybody just has on a different vibration, and most of them just don't care. That doesn't mean they're not nice people. They just don't care the same.
And sorry to take this back to flat Earth. That's why for me, flat Earth was just such an important topic. Like, you know, to be told you live in Australia upside down, and we believed it. And they tell you, oh, but you know, you don't trust your senses. But the day you do, the day you go, hang on a sec, I now trust my senses more than ever, right? How can they tell us not to trust your senses? Do you trust your senses when you cross the road? Of course you do. Do you trust your senses when you pick up a knife? Of course you do. But you know, when it comes to their heliocentric, you know, because they want a sun worshipping to, you know, to be their game. That's what they loved and what they worshipped. We had to go along with it. So it meant messing with your mind as part of it. And that's a really big thing. So you got children that don't even know where they live. And, you know, I've got my parents, I still debate with them over the topic. Even though they're, you know, leaning more over, if they had to jump on a side quickly, they jump on my side quicker than the heliocentric side. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I've got them thinking. You know, my dad's in his late 70s as well. And I don't know how long I've got with him, but man, I want to freaking tell him what I know. So I show him Tartaria. I show him what you know, and I make him think. And even with my mum, we have 2-hour chats on the phone about it, about the world, and that's cool. That's good. And you just keep making people think, like, just little bits, like, you know, if you're at the beach.
Really, it's making them think, isn't it? Even just making them think, because that's where they've got us. But listen, we've been going for nearly an hour now on our chit chat. Would it be a good point to sort of introduce your book now?
Yeah. I don't know where to start because I've never really done this before. But look, my book is called The Elusive Curve, and I wrote this book to sort of unite. I wrote the book to unite flat earthers, globe earthers, just to get a different viewpoint. There's a lot of, you know, serious scientific flat earth books. And I decided to write a novel, something that would, you know, as I said, you know, give people a way to ease them into the subject rather than here, deep end, this is a flat earth book. Because what it does, it offers a lot of different knowledge along the way. It offers a journey where this guy, Max, the leading character is called Max, and his best friend Sam is not a flat earther. Max is. He's been secretly researching the topic for many months. Didn't want to tell his best friend in the fear that he was going to be, you know, deemed crazy. But one day at a cafe, he decides to tell him. And, you know, the outcome is, as I said, as I read before, you know, what do you mean the earth is flat? Have you lost your friggin' mind, Max? And they go on, and Max has an idea, though. And, you know, Max is one of these people that thinks there could be more land on Earth, that the government's hiding things. And that, like, what is the motive behind flat Earth? Why would they do this? Maybe they are doing it because of there could be more land. So Max starts thinking along those lines. He purchases this thing called an Odysseus high-altitude pseudo-satellite. I could probably bring it up on screen. Do you guys want to see this? This is really awesome.
Can I say something? Can I just say something very quickly? And we were doing this hangout last night, or the other night with Claudio, and he brought up his map, and it had the swastika on it. And over the top, he had overlaid on a Gleason map the land. And what it was is, if you looked at it, I was telling Amy, you could see that, like America and one of the other ones, like Thailand, Australia, you can see the swastika part of it. And when you looked at Africa, there is a big island at the bottom of Africa, so maybe that had a bit more land, and then you'd have that swastika thing again. That means there's 3 of them, and then of course then they show us this big bit of water. There's obviously another piece of land in there, and the other part of the swastika.
There is something going on, Karen, because every time some newly highly elected official gets into government or whatever, you know, big position, they're going off that way to Antarctica, and that would be the last place I would go. Even we had our what do you call him? Not Prime Minister. I freaking don't even want to remember their names anymore. But our second in charge, whatever his name is, this guy, the second he got elected, went to Antarctica, and apparently he holds the record for being the first person to go to Antarctica and back in one day from Australia. So why would you go to Antarctica, stay there for a couple of hours, and come back anyway? What was there to see? Right? Do you get me? Yeah. So it makes you really think about why are you guys going there?
Well,
what's there to see?
I have a very quick theory on that. I was looking at things. I was looking at some pictures. This is a while ago, researching and that, and it was showing me that in Greenland in the summer they were in t-shirts. But you know how they show us Greenland? And I was like, what? Yeah. And then there is some islands which you see. I can't get it out. Denmark have sovereignty over Greenland and the Faroe Islands, and the Faroe Islands are above the Shetland Islands off of Scotland. So they're a few more 100 miles north. In the summer, they wear t-shirts, and I was like, what? Yeah,
what?
Their summers aren't as long as ours, but they do get temperatures like us. And I was like, what? And then what it was is, you know how we feel if you're going up towards Russia and up to that Baltic Sea, how cold it gets in the summer. Because my daughter-in-law comes from Lithuania. They all travel to the Baltic Sea where the temperatures are in the 40s. Again, it's not 6 to 8 months or like being in America or Australia when it's almost 24/7 is hot weather. They do only get so many weeks of really hot weather, but it gets into the 40s and they go up there to the seaside to it in the summer. You're like, what? And then I was looking up other countries, and what it seems to me is in this place we live, we have hot places and we have cold places. And you're either in a hotter place because we've got the Alps, we've got a hot place and a hot place either side. You've got the Andes in a hot country, and Everest sits in a hot country. I know Everest is cold, but it sits in a hot country. And then I was thinking, well, they tell you there's only 3 places you can get on in Antarctica. So maybe what they do is they take you to the Alps, they take you to the Andes, and they take you to Everest, but they're not taking you anywhere else. And behind there is land, just like beyond the Andes, beyond Everest, beyond the Alps. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do. And you know, because they sold us the.
Sorry, that was a bit of a mouthful, but you see that.
No, don't worry. That was good. That was good because you know they sold us a ball model, right? And they said because we're tilted at 23.4 degrees, that's created the seasons at the equator. So yeah, we bought all that, but it never made sense. But now because we're got a different viewpoint, hey, you've got your question, like what you just said is excellent. But, you know, they told us it because I always thought summer was because, oh, when it's close, you know, our heat is created by air pressures and it's got so many fundamentals behind it.
Hey, Billy, do you know what's really weird? For you to have a hot summer, I mean, for you to have summer, the sun has to be low in the sky. For us to have a hot summer, the sun has to be high in the sky.
Well, you feel it. And here's the obvious proof, right? So in the morning when the sun is at sunrise, you can look at the sun and it's not even that hot, right? But then it gets to zenith right above you at zenith at 12 o'clock. Hey, that's the hottest time. And then at sunset, when it leaves you in the distance, it's cooling down because it's leaving you again, just like a heater would do if it was passing over you. It's so simple. It is so simple, but we were confused. You know, that I speak to people and I say, you know, I speak to globe heads, I shouldn't call them that. You know, globe earth people, yeah, that's mean, you know, globe heads, yeah, flat heads, you know, flat earth retards. Oh, we've had it all. Globe heads is nothing, so in comparison. But, you know, I speak with people that believe in the heliocentric model, and they go, oh, but look, you can see the sun moving past you. And I go, hang on, you just said the sun is moving past you. You didn't say you're spinning and the sun is stationary. Do you know what I mean? We never say that. We've never, you can see the sun and move past you, just like you see clouds and planes move past you. It's not that hard to get, right? But we can see planes and all that move past us, but they tell us, oh, when it comes to the sun and the moon, it's us.
Hey, Billy, you just said that the moon isn't.
Give me a break.
You know, you said the sun isn't moving, but in a sense it is moving and we're moving. But could you imagine the pull on it if we're all swinging and moving and we're all going round each other and then we get this sun? It just wouldn't happen.
The sun is moving. It's clearly going past us every day. Like you can see that happening every day, you know. And, you know, even gets more ridiculous. You could just keep going on. Like, you know, they said they went to the moon, but to leave the moon, they had to leave Earth's atmosphere, right? But what's actually also happening is the sun is moving at 500,000 miles an hour. Earth is going around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. So you've left Earth's atmosphere. You'd be left behind. Like imagine you had a fly in your car and everyone goes, oh, but the fly can stay in the car and it's perfectly fine. But if you open the window and the fly gets out, how does it catch up to the car? It can't, right? It'd have to travel faster than the car. So these spaceships are supposed to be left Earth's orbit and, you know, are out there. Well, they would have been left behind, right? But they reckon they've worked out the gravitational mechanics behind it and work. No, it's total.
Oh, I hadn't thought about it like that before.
Yeah, I've got that in my book. There's a lot of little tidbits. And,
wow,
you know, the thing,
I hadn't thought about that because, but again, you know,
Max has a girlfriend called Zoe, and you know, Sam meets Jessica in the first chapter. I won't tell you, but they sort of hook up, and these girls are smart too. They start researching, so you see them throwing in facts. It's not just Max doing it, and it goes into the Coriolis effect and moon landings and. You know, how far you can see in the furthest mountains you can see in your life.
Coriolis effect is so stupid, isn't it? It's just if Amy doesn't know quite a bothered. A bullet is Coriolis effect,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
And a helicopter and a plane then runs on the Coriolis effect. What that means is something that's basically left Earth. It's not we're on Earth, we're standing on Earth. This has left Earth and is travelling in its own whatever rotation-y thing. But again, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
I think you're going to enjoy my book because it sort of talks about all that. But I put like part of, you know, Max.
But what I'm trying to say is that's made for the globe world.
Which one is?
The Coriolis effect is made for the globe world.
It is, but when you break it down and you really look into what's going on, you go, no, there's no Coriolis effect.
Like gravity.
Neil deGrasse Tyson said, well, there's no Coriolis effect of this Earth. I mean, Coriolis effect is real. You can, you know, prove that in a, you know, on a round, if you're spinning around and you try and pass up to someone, you can create Coriolis, but Earth doesn't have it. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson said that some guy he kicked in America, he was in playing for the Cincinnati Tigers in NFL, and he reckons he kicked a ball, and because of the spin of the Earth, that the ball went through the goals. And if he didn't kick it at the right time, then, and if it wasn't for the spins perfect deflection that it created, then it wouldn't have gone through. Well, that's just total crap. 40 meters or something. In Australia, our longest kicks in AFL, Australian Football League, is 100 meters. The longest golf shot in history is like 250 meters. So could you imagine a golfer having to account for the Coriolis effect? Really? It's like, oh wow, I'm a mathematician now. I'm like, working.
Do you know
out
something else that really annoys me as well when you think about it? When they were on the moon, everything they were wearing. So say you get into it on Earth, it would be really heavy and you wouldn't be able to walk very far with it. But on the moon, it was supposed to be so light. It means that the time they bounce, they'd be bouncing up in the air, da-doing, da-doing. We never saw any of that. And in fact, when they're even walking across the screen, these people, they're trying to keep their equipment. It's moved now, and I'm struggling to walk.
Yeah. I'm going to go
with it.
I'm going to go really fast. But we've all had
really light, so that actually it would have been like they'd have been. I'm a bit worried if I jump too much, I might bounce off the moon.
Hey, Karen. Sorry, this is going to be might sound a little bit crass, but I think it's a little bit funny as well, and it'll make you think. But we've all had children, is that right? Are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
Do we have kids?
Yeah.
We know we've changed the nappy. Yeah, we know how smelly that. So these guys left Earth. They went to the moon for 3 days. 3 men in a capsule with dirty, smelly nappies. How would that?
Oh yeah. Amy, listen, I did a video of that myself. I actually copied someone else's. In this little capsule, they would have to have peed and pooed right next to each other. I mean, you know, like the back seat of a car where you can sit 3 people.
Yeah.
They basically had something that was as wide as that was going right round them, made of tin foil, and they had to stay in that for 3 days. They would have gone insane.
How disgusting. But we didn't think of that. These are all the little, and I hate thinking about that. I'm not going to think about that. That's disgusting. But if you really put the detail on it, like if you're going to take your kid away for 3 days in a car with you, would you leave them with dirt? Man, I'll tell you what, you'd have your windows rolled down all the way, right? Hey, I'll show you this before I forget it, because this is cool. And this is really this is the crux of my book. My book is about a guy called Max, and he's a millionaire, by the way, because, a few years earlier, he developed some cutting-edge technology, which is patented, and he happens to sell it for some undisclosed amount of money. And he has the means, and he's got a really good lifestyle. He's a millionaire, right? So I'll show you what he thinks of. So he starts thinking, hey, I'm going to go find this edge of the earth, everyone says. I shouldn't have said that. But this end of it, like more land or whatever. Now, how would you do it? So you're a millionaire. You've got a beautiful apartment. You're worth millions, in a couple of $100 million. You live a beautiful life. Would you really get on a ship and go out and track? You wouldn't, right? And I found that unfeasible. So I thought, well, how could you do it? How would you do it? And this is what I found. So I'm going to screen share. Do you mind if I go? I'll do it right now. Just tell me.
Yeah, also, Billy, do you have a picture of your book that you can show us?
I'll bring it up on my website as well. Yeah, good idea. Tops. So tell me when am I screen sharing?
You are. Well, that's it.
Cool. So this is called Odysseus. Have you seen? Can you see this aircraft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an aircraft, and they call it a high altitude pseudo satellite. It means HAPS, as you can see on screen there. But what it does is it can fly autonomously, which means, you just set it and forget it. Put it up in the air, let it go. Set it to a direction. If you want to go round and round over your country and view your country, or if you want to go in a straight line wherever you want to go, if you want to go around the equator, whatever, that's what this is designed for. And it's got solar panels on the roof of it. What I'll do is I'll run you, this is how big it is. You can see on the airstrip how big this thing lines up. But my character, Max, thinks, well, I'm not going to go on a ship. He hates the cold, right? I'm not going to go to Antarctica. And why would you go and risk all your, because he wants to form a team with his family and friends and, these smart guys that he's attracted to know that the earth is flat. But he was not going to put their lives at risk sending them out there. So he thinks one night he has this idea where he's going to get an Odysseus. And this is Odysseus. So I'll just run this video real quickly. So thanks for, I know that was, a couple of minutes, but thanks for taking time to listen to that. But this is real.
Billy,
yeah.
I won't be able to put that bit on the Hangout because it might be copyrighted. But listen to me. We only actually saw a cartoon version of it. They only saw them in that thing, and they could have just put that bit on the film. You didn't actually see the thing flying. You only saw a cartoon. And the other thing is, when the people were talking and they were looking at them, they were on green screens. The backgrounds weren't real. They weren't really in with the background.
I'm going to go check. This is actually available for purchase right now. You can actually buy the Odysseus.
Yeah, but who could buy it?
Whoever has the money to buy it.
What I'm saying is, it could be real, or it could be something that they're feeding to us again. Because
Yeah,
what does it do? It monitors and watches the people.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I did about 5 years research on this, and I've got many other companies who have got similar other products. So
okay, well, we'll leave this bit on, but I just won't put the video on because I don't, you know,
no worries,
just in case it's copyrighted.
Yeah,
It will be.
I get what you mean, because I thought about that writing the book, because I had to, you know, think about, well, what are the legal implications of, you know, but hey, my character he can go to a shop and buy any product and name it in a book. So I know what you mean on video. It's a different thing altogether. This is, should I screen share my book or?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, I'll jump back to that. Or am I still screen sharing? I am. I'm so sorry. Yeah, good on you. I'm jumping all over the place. So this is the Elusive Curve, and this is the main website for Elusive Curve. Gives you a bit of a breakdown on the story. This is the book on the right-hand side here in the cover. Interesting with this, though, that I've known this lady Morgana for many years in Sydney, and Morgana and Cone, and I said, hey, you know, she's a graphic designer, and I reached out to her. I'm writing a book. She said, what's it called? And I told her the name. She went, oh, that sounds really interesting. I'd tell you what, she came back about 3 days later with this cover without reading it. And I loved it because it shows the water, you know, horizon. It shows the sun shining on the water, which can only happen on a level, flat water, right? And it showed a beautiful sun with, you know, some dynamics that she put in a book. But I was going to say, actually, on this website,
do you want to read that bit there? Read that bit out. Your Elusive Curve, that bit there. Yeah, read it out.
Considered an expert by his peers after successfully selling his cutting-edge patent technology, Max was suddenly free from the daily grind. But his lifestyle and reality were about to be rocked by a single notion that would go against modern-day science and a concept that he'd never in his wildest dreams considered. Max still recalls the day he heard the two words, flat and earth combined, which, unbeknown to him at the time, would change his life forever. And although the concept initially triggered wild emotions beyond his control, Max soon came to the realization that the world around him was not exactly what he thought. The epiphany changed his entire outlook on life. Pretty much what we've all gone through. Join Max on his journey as he attempts to convince his friends that the shape of the Earth is not what they know, while he plans for a mission to discover more land on Earth, while with his ambitious and somewhat crazy plan to acquire a high-altitude pseudo-satellite, or HAPS, to prove the shape of the Earth one way or another. You see, with this pseudo-satellite, there's only three things that could happen, in my opinion. Three main things. One is you set it off and it comes back around to you and it would prove the ball, right? Imagine if you set that up. It's like literally saying what everyone has been asking for, you know, go around the world.
Yeah.
And the globe earth, hey, they would love it. They'd go, hey, proves the ball. The other thing it would do is you set it off and it finds more land, right? And people go, wow, where'd that land come from? And that's what the book is about with Max. And you're going to, I won't give away the story, but, you know, you're going to have to buy it to know, or read it to know. And the other thing that happens is it probably crashes into the dome, you know? So there are three things that could happen. She comes back around, it's a ball, it goes off, finds more land, or it goes out and it crashes into a dome and we can prove it's a dome because we don't know either way. So the book is a bit about...
Hey, Max, sorry, Billy. Billy. But what happens if it doesn't come back?
Hey, you know?
What happens if it just keeps going?
I won't spoil the story, actually, man. And you know what? You're gonna laugh along the way. I thought I'm funny, like I thought I'm quirky, and there's bits that you go, "What is this? A flat Earth book? Like, where is this?" But it leads it, and it's sort of, you know, they go to a football game, they go sniper. You know, he knows a sniper. He knows all sorts of people. He's a resourceful man. And if you see his journey on what he does to put this mission together, setting up a control room with multiple monitors. Like this Odysseus has 12 cameras pointing front, back, left, right, up, down, wherever you can point a camera, it's pointing a camera. So he's building a mission control room where he sets this room up, but he doesn't tell his friends. Like he's sort of his thing, and he's, you know, but when he finally shows the people, and that's what the last chapter is, when he finally shows his friends what he's found. And I don't know, do you want me to spoil it? I'm not going to. You know,
no, don't. Just asking, Patricia or Amy, do you wanna? Is there anything you'd like to ask Billy or say? I mean, it looks. I like the cover.
A cartoon face. It's still with sunglasses on. I don't know why, because I was inside. People go, "Why have you got your sunglasses inside?" Well, I don't freaking know. I took a photo. Like, relax. All right. Okay. But this is a cool page here if people want to come on this page, because I think this website, I sort of designed this to offer people, you know, like if you read this page, I know this is going to sound crazy, but what if the earth is flat? Let me begin by saying that I always thought that I lived on a spinning ball, because just like you, I always believed that the dozens of pictures of Earth from space were real. Yeah, whatever. Because I got to tell you, I never in my wildest dreams never thought of flat Earth. How about you guys? Have you ever? Like,
I just remember, you know, maybe when you're like in third grade or something, and they start teaching you geography, and you know, they pull the map down and show it to you that way first, and then at some point they want to surprise. Guess what? We live on a globe, and it spins, and you know, and all of us kids were like, well, how are we like doing that? Like, aren't we like sideways? Yeah, like some of
I know, Amy, but no, I must admit, I must have skipped school that day. I just never heard of it. Never heard of it. It was like,
yeah, and
triggered.
People were like, well, you know, I mean, well, what about like the bottom of the earth? And the teacher'd be like, well, you're kind of hanging upside down, and magnetism and gravity is holding you on there, and we're just basically climbing around on a bunch of rocks. And all us kids were like, wow, that I think we all thought it sounded kind of silly, but oh well, if they're teaching it, that must be the way it is. And
Definitely.
from then on, yeah, we didn't really question it after that.
Told not to question. Yeah, definitely. Like whatever they tell you, that's what it is.
And they teach us so young that you're very, you know, vulnerable age, so you're not going to really ask a lot of questions. And it's all about, you know, the education system is about, you know, they teach you something, you better memorize it and get the answer right on the test, and that means you're doing well and everything. To be honest, when I first introduced my sister to the idea of flat Earth, and this wasn't too long ago, I said, "Do you realize that we're actually living on a flat Earth?" And she's a very kind and open-minded person, and she said, she says, "I thought we had gotten out of the medieval ages, but okay."
I know. You gotta hate that one. I hate it when they say that.
And so she said, I think she's so sweet, like the way she said it wasn't mockery. She's like, well, I thought we were out of the medieval ages, but okay. Like she'll listen to anything. But guess what? Now I've got her, you know, through everything that, you know, that Karen has shared with me, and, you know, and listening and being on Sun and Moon and everything, you know, that now I can give real answers, you know, that, you know, makes sense, that, you know, that this is.
Have you got her thinking too? Sorry to interrupt you. Have you got her thinking about it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh.
And yeah, and she's very, you know, receptive and everything. And I never forget when I was first met Karen through her other channel, and the first time we ever talked, and we were talking about this case that she was following. And Karen, I don't know if Karen remembers, but she said to me, she said, "Amy, please don't think any less of me, but I am a flat earther." Like she thought that was gonna make me, like, I guess she thought, you know, just believed in the spinning globe. So she was like, I hope you won't think any less of me, but I am a flat earther. And I was like, no, I mean, I would never, plus I'm an open-minded person anyway. But then here again, I was leaning that way myself. So it's kind of interesting. Do you remember that, Karen, when you said that to me? You said, I hope you won't think any less of me on account of that. And I was like, oh, no, not at all. Because even if of course, I'm the kind of person, even if I did believe in the globe, I wouldn't think less of a person views, but here I was leaning that way anyhow. So it was kind of interesting to me. Yeah. So it's just really neat how things work
But
together.
it sort of makes it worse, though, doesn't it? Because the more you know, and then when you're in, Amy's had to deal with the system with her dad, and she's just so disgusted. And
Oh yeah.
I've said to her, if she hadn't known what she'd known lately, it would have been bad, but she wouldn't have had. Now it's even worse because of what you know.
Yes, what I know, that's right. And in a way, I wished I would have known, because maybe I would have done things a lot differently. But the way it all worked out, they fed us so many lies, and we're just programmed to go along with what Western medicine says. And
also, Amy, you realise that they don't even know what they're doing, really.
Oh my gosh, they don't
All
know
this
what
year, we're 2020 now, and they still don't know what they're doing. They can't cure things. They just, like what they did to her dad through the chemotherapy. They never explained it like that. And then it's just horrible. Like it's 2020. We're not, it's like, are they just experimenting on us or something?
Yeah, and by the end of the whole thing, I was starting to, I had it, and I was starting to tell him. I said, this system is no good. This is what your system has done to a man that worked 55 years, 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day, to provide for his family. And this is what he has ended up in this terrible condition. I said, this system is all about money, and it's all about big pharma. I said, and I'm not afraid to say that. I will say it, and I will be addressing it. And I intend to. I don't want to make lawsuits or anything. It's not about that, but I want to get it out there for people to at least know what you're dealing with. Because he might have...
Good on you, Amy.
Pardon?
Good on you, Amy. I was saying,
thank you.
Tell as many people as possible. That's what I reckon.
Right, because I don't want to see another family go through what our family has gone through. If I can help anybody at all, they need to learn it. And this particular cancer that my father had is not, you can't cure it, and they're giving people false hope. They're saying they can prolong their life, but the way that the quality of life that they're providing them with is horrible. And
all they needed to do was look more into the cannabis side of things, or have rife machines. It's disgusting, isn't it?
Yes, and yet
which are the rife machine is harmless, absolutely harmless, whereas the side effects that Amy's dad got were disastrous.
That's right. And I got so angry one night, I was actually crying, just thinking, like, my father is suffering so badly, and yet if I was to have a simple plant where, if I was growing a certain plant, I could practically have the SWAT team here, arrested me and everything else, when what they done to my father is like almost like a crime against humanity. And I was really telling these people, it's a wonder they didn't have me thrown out of the place, because I just really let them know what I thought. So, but yeah, it's all about money. That's all it is. I've seen it and firsthand, and it's all about money. And It's just disgusting, and it's been going on forever, and it's just getting worse. Is what it's doing. It's getting worse. So
It is getting worse. Yeah.
well, the system's getting so much worse. Just
Hey, Patricia, is there anything you'd want to add? Patricia? Patricia?
I'm here.
Patricia. There she is. Yeah, she's not been very well this last few days, but carry on, Patricia.
No, we're just going slightly back a little bit. About you saying about, well, I was saying about wars and stuff and society, and what I've sort of come to the conclusion is they have wars so that they're creating jobs, so that the people are working to pay their income tax. It's all about money, and the fact that they just want people to give everything of ourselves and not get anything good in return, and
feeding the military industrial.
Hey, what it is it's sold as you as this really good package.
Yeah.
That they're doing everything for you, but actually they're doing the complete opposite.
Yes.
Well, there's an opposite in everything anyway.
But they don't want us to wake up, because once we realise we don't need them, that's the whole point. So they're going full for. Listen, today, right? It's taking forever to upload. It's on about 40%, and it's been going since 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's just taking forever. But I looked into the footage when Trump came over last month, and he had dinner with the Queen. In the middle of this footage, because I've slowed it down, this other person is there. I literally mean it's like a photograph of someone else. They're there. You can see them. If it's disgusting what they're doing to us. Amy can't wait to watch it, and it's just a bit annoying. It's taking ages to upload, but this is disgusting. So that Melania wasn't there, Trump wasn't there, the Queen wasn't there, and neither was Camilla and neither was Charles. But there is a funny bit in it. In it, Charles falls asleep. He goes down. He goes oh, and then he goes down again. Oh, and the Queen then has a frown on. I'm going, look, she's going, I'm not amused. I'm not amused. So that bit's funny. It's like, that is funny, and the whole thing's funny, but it's not funny because there's all these messages, and like at one point you can see again that there's for a split second I saw it. It's not on my recording, but there is a black man underneath him again, which I've seen, and I keep seeing it. It's on my other videos on Unscrambled that it's just for a moment. This black person, black of the, you see the back of their head, and there's also like skeletons and ugly things, and it's just, we're seeing all of it subconsciously.
Yes.
And
anyway, I'm hoping someone knows who he is, the person that's under Trump. But I'm on 40%, and I've just got to wait. So it'll probably be tomorrow it goes out now, because it'll probably take. It's only 18 minutes long.
And it's taking that long.
Yeah, I turned the computer off. I turned it on. I've already had 2 hours of trying to upload it when it was like on 1%. And it's been going since 3. But occasionally it does it. But I think maybe what it might be is there's things in there, because this is their footage, isn't it? You're messing around with. You're trying to show people.
Yeah,
and do you know what I love the most? What I love the most is them actually taking photographs of them, because they go flash, and when you slow it down, in that flash, not always, sometimes it's just a complete blur, but sometimes you get to see who the real people are in that flash.
Okay, so they're superimposing other people on top of other people.
And do you know what? Listen, in the Elvis Presley one with Priscilla Presley, when they were getting married, there was all sorts of people in there, and there was also a woman with, like, it was Middle Eastern, and she had one of those headdresses on.
When Elvis got married.
Yeah, I don't think any of they were all the same thing. So we have Dallas, Peyton Place, Dynasty, Coronation Street. So the studios are making the pop stars. They're told what to say, what to do. It's all the same. It is a soap opera, just done in a different way.
Right.
They're not real. So this whole wedding, so the wedding that you saw that she kept, that wasn't her. It was all superimposed. It was the same thing as the Watsgate. So that was in the 70s, 60s. So this technology, I mean, look at it this way as well, Billy, just we're going off the cuff a bit here, but like right now, you're in Australia, Amy's in America, and we're in the UK. So that is quite a big distance between us, isn't it all? We're on a hangout in all different time zones, in one time zone, without any wires. And I think there's a tiny weeny delay, tiny weeny one with you, Billy, because we cross over a little bit on our speeches. But what I'm saying is, without any lines, there's no wires under the ground. I just don't think there's a wire from here to America. Imagine it would have taken them years and years to have done that. Whatever technology they've got, they've had it for a long time. And this is, come on, I mean, look at this, Australia to America, and we're on this hangout together, almost in complete synchronicity to talk.
I know.
It's quite, when you think about it, it's incredible. I know that there's the ether and, maybe things like that plane are doing, there's something like that working that's doing this. But come on, whatever it is, imagine what they've got.
And we've got, have you heard of troposcatter technology? Like they've had that since the 1920s, where they can literally, like you've got the ionosphere, the stratosphere, the troposphere, all the different parts of the atmosphere, but they can literally bounce things off the troposphere. They call it troposcatter, and it's like bouncing something off the roof of your house. Like you point a laser to you're on, and it'll keep, point, that sort of stuff.
They were building the observatory in Brighton, and this beautiful Tartarian-looking building, 16-something, it said on the date on that one. And it's like, do you know what I really wish? One thing, I think all the people with those observatories, they need to go to prison. They're one of the first set of people that'd like to go to prison, because they've made everybody believe that stars are millions of light years away when they're only a few miles away.
Yes.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and they've been pointing.
Imagine what they can see with those telescopes. If we can see what we see. I know it's, on a phone you can only. Some of us have cameras, you can zoom in a lot more. But imagine what they could see with those great big telescopes. And they know they're only miles away or whatever it is.
And you think they point them upwards. And why don't you point them across the horizon? Let's see how far you could see that way. Because now with all this modern day, digital cameras and everything, we could see pretty far. So imagine how far they could see if they actually did point it down and they used infrared or whatever they freaking did. It's not my expertise.
I have thought about one of the answers. Like when people see the cameras and they're seeing a distance away and it looks much closer than it should be, right? When I went to see Silbury Hill, the same thing happened, except this was on land. When we were to see Silbury Hill, first of all, I come up and we're at a fence. And there's a field, and Silbury Hill's to the right of that field. So it takes up, say, a quarter of that field, but it's over there on the right-hand side. And you've got to walk across, like half of 3/4 of the field to get to it. We went back to the car, and suddenly we went, oh, my God, look at the pyramid. The pyramid was absolutely enormous. What we could see was the pyramid had gone, like should never have been, it had grown by about 10 times the size. And there it was. And we filmed it, and we were going, wow. And then as we walked to that fence, it was then small again over there in the corner of the thing. So that's what's happening with those cameras. It's doing the same thing. It's making something further away look much closer for that reason. I don't know how it's doing it, but how could that be? This pyramid was enormous. It's on Unscrabbled. I think it's on Sun and Moon as well. But it's on Unscrambled.
I live 700 meters from the beach here. So for Americans,
it's on my
half a mile.
Video. It's on my pyramid video.
Oh, I've got to check it out. I'll make sure I'll
if you can't find it, I'll find it for you, because it's really interesting. Because how could that be? We were about, then when we walked back to the car park, we were about a quarter of a mile, or just over a quarter of a mile from that fence. But that's still not that far. So you could see the people still at the fence looking at the placard and looking at the pyramid over the field. They weren't enormous. They hadn't grown in size, but the pyramid was absolutely friggin' enormous, and it looked like the top of it had changed shape as well. How could that be?
How far was the pyramid behind them?
Oh, only, like I said, about half a field, 3/4 of a field.
Okay.
So it was about as far from the fence as we were, as far the other side, but down a little bit, because you had to go over and walk down into the field. But it's just like it had been grown so that it was over the entrance of where these people were standing. It was like it had grown like to half the field, and now it has got like even 4 times the size it was. It's just, but this. So we don't actually know how this place where we live works and what it's all about.
Our eyes, the atmosphere, there's all sorts of stuff happening. I live 700 meters from the beach. You know, I visit, and there's a supermarket like literally tucking onto the beach. It's a nice supermarket. But you know, I visit that every day, right? And some days I could see 150 kilometers away, which is about 110 miles. Clearly, mountains 110, 150 kilometers away. There's also a place called, I live in Chelsea Beach in Melbourne. There's a directly across from me, there's a there's a part of land called Indented Head. Indented Head at its maximum elevation is 10 meters high, but I could see it from 36 kilometers away. You know what? Other days, I can't even see friggin' my hat, you know, 100 meters out.
Yeah, and do you know something else? Do you watch some
you know, evaporation, you know, mist, there's waves.
Do you watch Enslaved by No Media? He did a lot of that. He was filming like from 18 miles from, say, this town he was in. And
I've got
the buildings were absolutely enormous. And as he got closer, he couldn't see the buildings. But when he was further away, he could see the buildings and they looked much bigger.
Right.
So some illusion happens that we have not worked out yet and looked into properly. But what it is.
But that was with a camera, right?
Yeah, he was doing his with the camera. You're doing your eyes.
But do we see that with our eyes? Not really.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
The pyramid. With
your eyes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll
send you the link. I'll send you the link after the Hangout because it's just such a weird phenomenon that is. We saw it and you sort of forget about it because there's so many other things. But and do you know something else, Billy, as well? Very quickly.
I won't discount it. I want to watch it. Yeah, I will.
We'll probably have to end soon because we've been going for an hour and 3/4. But I just wanted to say this. Like there's the White Cliffs of Dover, don't you? Well, if you were in Dover and you drove to my house, yeah, there's a few hills, but not much. You know, you're not going up and down and big mountains or anything. Just a few little hills and up, down, and whatever. But basically, 10 miles past me, you get to Swindon, and then you have to go down this hill, and this hill. It's got a peak on it and everything because I looked it up. It's not one of the biggest, obviously, but it's still they're about quarter of a half a mile down there, and that's Cornwall, Devon, Wales, until you get to the mountains. They live down there, and we live up here. No one's explaining that we live on the top of some hills, or it's like the Grand Canyon, you know, but it's much bigger because obviously it's frigging miles down there with, you know, Somerset, Devon, Cornwall and all that, but we're up here and they're down there. There's two different plateaus. Not that I thought about it only a few weeks ago and it's blown my mind.
You know what's quite remarkable, Karen, that I reckon 5 years ago we wouldn't have given a damn what we could see, how far we can see. We saw this stuff anyway, but we didn't get it. We didn't attach it to anything. It's like, oh, I can see that far. Big deal. You know, as if you're going to turn around to someone and say, oh, the earth must be flat. You didn't do that.
You didn't think about it. And do you know something else as well people don't know? I don't know if even Amy knows this one. You know when you look on the sea and you think you can see all the sun glistening, which makes those little sort of ripples, you know, where the sun hits the water and you see all those little flashes on the water. Do you know what I mean, Amy? Do you know what that is? That's not the sun. Those are little electrical orbs on the top of the water. They're not the sun. I mean, it could be helped by the sun and what's going on, but they're not what you think they are. They're all electrical orbs on top of the water.
They're interesting, the orbs, aren't they? I remember hearing orbs like even well before. And, you know, people would take photos and but I don't know, now everything changes. I've got to think about, you know, is there spiritual, you know, people that we can't see? Like, I don't know.
Well, actually, I am worried. I'm wondering. Tell me what you think this is, right? And I am a bit concerned about this because I don't have an explanation. On the other channel, I slow down a lot of the footage, and I'm noticing it in like the Trump stuff. I noticed it in the Watts case. I've noticed it in the 1800s. It's almost as if someone is filming through a glass cabinet and filming it. And because they've got people standing next to them, they're also reflecting in the glass, but you can't quite make them out, but you can see them moving. You know, I can
Yes.
see this in the footage. I can see it.
That-
Do you know what I mean, Amy? Amy knows what I mean. I see it quite
Mhm.
regularly. You can actually,
Welcome.
to say, for instance, say they're at White House and they've got the president, but he's more to the right, and they're showing you, say, the background, which might be more of one color, just like a color. Suddenly on there, you'll see all these things moving around and shadows and things.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I thought maybe the AI is trying to become human in there, or I don't know what it is, but it's really strange because it's just like, you know, when you've got those glass cabinets to things, it's like filming through that and there are people next to you and they're reflecting on the glass. You can see them moving around.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre. I don't know what we're in. I don't know what this is. It's all absolutely crazy.
It's amazing, isn't it? Even, you know, people have been, you know, scientists have been bringing up this simulation theory, which the fact that they brought it up makes me dismiss it. Do you know what I mean? Because
Right.
they able to prove the Earth is a spinning ball, so now they're going, oh, but it could be a simulation of, you know, get out of town. So I'm not saying that we don't, but man, if a scientist is saying it, I'm very, I don't know. Maybe this world. Do you believe in God?
You know what it's like, Billy? It's like it's like we're living in a simulation and we're not living in a simulation all at the same time.
You know, it's God's
Yeah.
simulation. If it's a simulation, who made the simulation? And that's what they hate. Even these scientists that talk about simulation, they get asked, well, who
I
made the
think
simulation?
it's more like your first bit. Who are we? Where are we? And why are we here?
Thank you. We're never going to answer it. But to say that we're here for no reason, to say we came from nowhere and we're here for no reason and we're going nowhere, I reckon that's ridiculous. So I'm going to stick to the paradigm of, you know, hey, I don't know where we came from, but I reckon it's from some intelligent designer, like a creator almost, if you want to call him that. And I reckon he put us here for a reason, for a period that we're here. Some are very short.
Yeah, but Billy, I feel that my whole life's changed to hopefully be a better person and to help other people.
Likewise.
But my life's got worse.
No, it hasn't. It only feels like
it has on so
Maybe-
many aspects. You
Me
know,
too.
I don't have a lot of my friends anymore. My family think I'm crazy. You know, like this is not. This is horrible. This is you know persecution.
Yeah, I was on a really good income that most people would like go, wow, really? And I had leftover money, and now I'm, you know, it's like, not that I'm cool. I'm not like living in a bloody you know, basement or anything, but I'm still cool. I'm cool. I've got 2 nice 7 series. Like, I'm not that bad. But you know, it's different. It's different now. Like, you know, imagine a customer looking me up going, oh, Billy Zig, let me look him up. Oh, he's a flat earther. You know what I mean? It doesn't really look good. And I reckon I've lost a few clients over the last few years. I can't say it was because I was a flat earther or whether because I spent too much time writing my book, because it was like 75,000 words, and, you know, I probably wrote about 120,000. But then you scale it back, because who wants to read a book that big, you know, so, and I had to make it on point. It had to be, you know, hey, do I really want to talk about Freemasons and Illuminati? I don't want to do that. I can't. I've met Freemasons. Some of them are cool. So I'm not going to name and shame a whole group of people, because there might be a bunch of them that are bad. Do you know what I mean? You don't do that. Oh, I hate bananas because 3 bananas are bad.
Yeah, but you know what,
you take
Billy, in a way, the people at the sort of bottom, even if they think that they're high up in the Mason thing, they're still victims, because they're brought into another system, another layer, and they don't know that they don't know.
I reckon heaps of them are waking up though, Karen. Like, I speak to people, man. Like,
yeah, but why isn't anything happening? I mean, I just cannot believe that not one politician has said, yeah, we see there's something wrong with the NASA footage now, or whatever it is.
Because there's this guy, like, you'll be Epstein, or whatever they call it. Do you know, like, I'm scared. Like, look what happened to the last whistleblowers, like Julian Assange. It didn't end up well with him. You know, the one the other one in America that sort of ended up being a boy, now a girl, whatever. The name escapes me. I'll probably try and remove it from my brain. Yeah, it doesn't end up well for whistleblowers. It doesn't end up well for you and me, like, and all of us. Patricia, Amy, all of us.
Well, yeah, but now I know that it's a load of rubbish, and you do not trust the media at all, and they're all part of the same thing. You can't believe anything or go anywhere near them. That's if you go get yourself an advert. You know, like you're on an advert in another country, Australia, whatever it is. You don't want anything to do with these people.
But you know what I like, Karen? You know what I like? Like, you know, I'm not going to say I'm a...
Do you know what, Billy, do you know what I found on that footage? I really want to, you know, the Daily Star here in the UK did an article with me in it a few years ago, and I so want to ring them up. Say we didn't know what we know. I'd like to ring them up and tell them what I've got on this footage for them to seriously come to my house, because they did that before, and look at the footage, because there's something really wrong with it. And but I can't, because they're all part of that system.
They won't run it anyway, Karen. They won't run it because, like, who runs that? Like, the journalists might be really keen. Like,
no, mine is about what's wrong with Trump and the fact that there's someone else underneath him. I'd like, you know, and the CEO of YouTube basically is only looking at the people. They're not looking at the big business or the adverts or what you know, the politics or the news or the media. Not looking at any of that. They're only looking at the people. And basically, and if employees, you know, this woman said. So I hear that the employees are starting to believe in the conspiracy theories. So what do you do about that? So basically, you know, we sort that out. So you know what that means? They're not allowed to talk to us or they'll be fired. They've got to run the YouTube thing. And YouTube, they're just, I can't believe it. There's not anything, again, it's all, well, we're watching the people, but it's not us that's doing it, it's them. And they're allowing them without checking them.
And I dare say that some good people are caught in the trap. Like, they'd have to be, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, they put out a fishing net. Some of the fish shouldn't have been caught in it, but they end up being caught in a sardine net, and they shouldn't have been. They're trying to, yeah. So there's a lot of people that, you know, they just don't want to go there. They're so comfy in their lifestyle, right? They got the car, they got this, they got that. They don't want to give this shit up. Excuse me. Yeah?
That's right.
People, I think, you know, how do you think I felt writing like a book like this?
Yeah, but listen, I don't think we need to give everything up. If your consciousness changes, if your consciousness changes, right, you don't have to give all this up. You don't have to give your house up and that. But once your vibration changes and the people's consciousness changes, that's what needs to happen. And then over time, we'll be doing things differently. We were starting to go out and look at the stars again and trust the earth that we live on. You know, we were starting doing these things. It's the consciousness that needs to change. We don't have to give up everything. Well, we're here. We can't just get rid of it. You know, what do? Just scrub. We can't scrub everything. Look, we didn't like it when they've scrubbed our past history. Tried to scrub it with those big buildings and the pillars.
Sorry
to scrub it,
Karen. Sorry to interrupt, but you're right. How do you go back to work when you figure all this shit out? How do you go back to work and, you know, do the coffee, do all that? Oh, let's go get coffee. And, you know, what do they talk about? Like, you know, as you said, you know, all these silly reality shows and, you know, who won football last week? I don't really care. I'm like, you know, did you see what NASA did last week? You know, you see, that's what I care about. So you don't fit in, and the system's kind of made to be like that. But I'm going to be hopeful that one day, and I hope that's coming, and that funnel, which is ending this way, is going to go the other way, right? And there's going to be more people that start, you know, you'll be able to go. Like I find, I was going to say before, if I go to 2 years ago, when I first started going to this pub, the bar lady thought I was crazy for being a flat earther. Now she's bought my book. She loves my book. She like, you know, if anyone brings up a hard time, she's like defending me, going, how do you know the earth spins that fast? You know, oh, do you see planes going upside down when they go? Like, you should hear this lady. She's like, wow. And I don't even have to say anything, where 2 years ago, I'm getting attacked at the pub, physically attacked. And this is changing, right? So I'm going to be an optimist, and I reckon things are going to get better. And if they are going to take us down, at least I'm aware of it, right? Yeah. Isn't that better than, oh, what happened? A lot of people are going to go, what happened? Well, we were trying to warn you about what was going to happen. You know, we've been saying this for years. We've been Georgia God.
The only thing is, you know, one of the reasons that we're here is because of communication. You know, it's just if they take that away, it stunts things, though, because if people can't communicate with each other and they're even more marginalised, you know, just say we couldn't have hangouts, we couldn't phone each other, we couldn't all this, then it just, you know. I
know. But we'll still talk
a place where we're really communicating, and they're starting to take it away.
But if that happens, maybe we'll communicate more like we used to with our family, and maybe it'll be more
I'll
wild.
be going,
Maybe
yeah,
more,
I need to wait 6 weeks for that letter from Billy.
if they don't, I'll feel right, Karen. I will. I'll tell you.
Can I just
But
say we've been going now for 2 hours.
I swear I've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we usually have a few minutes. So, Patricia, do you want to start? Patricia? And then I'll come back to you, Billy and Amy. Patricia, do you want to start the ending?
Yeah, okay, if I must. I'm only joking. No, it's been an interesting conversation as usual. There's a lot to think about, isn't there? But like, how much of it do we need to put into our life, and how much do we need to just say, okay, that's how it is, or we don't even know the answers to anything, so. I don't know. But yeah, thank you, Billy. Being interesting. Thank you, Amy. Bless you.
Patricia?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Karen.
thank you. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Love you lot. Thank you for that. Amy, do you want to go next then?
I was
Yeah.
just gonna.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Oh, yeah, Patricia. Oh, go on,
Oh,
I
Patricia.
was just gonna say my usual. I know it
Yeah,
sounds
sorry.
like I'm just sort of repeating myself all the time, but it means a lot for me to tell everyone that I love them. So I just want to say I love you all.
I love you guys.
Love you, Patricia.
Patricia, love
We
you
don't
all.
anymore, do we? It's like you say that like you're, it's weird. Like, why? That's awesome. So thank you, Patricia. Across the world, man.
We used to do group hugs. We used to do group hugs on Sun and Moon originally, didn't we, a few years ago?
Yeah.
Thank you, Patricia. Mwah. Amy?
Yeah, well, this has just been so fascinating and interesting, and I was thinking about something when we were talking about, like how much do we really want to know and everything. Is it better to know more? And like my daughter, she's 30 years old, and I can't talk about things like this to her because she's so caught up in, she's got a good job, she's pursuing her career, and if I start to get too much into all of this, what we know about the lies and everything, she can't really she can't do that because it would be too much. Like she's like you were saying, Billy, about, you've got to go to work and have those conversations over the coffee machine and so forth. And, it just, I can see where it would be too much. If I was much younger and still trying to work my way in through the system, it would be hard knowing what I do
I see what you mean,
now.
Amy. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never minded being an individual, though, and a bit different, but it has got me down a little bit lately that, everybody is so shut off out there, and the fact that people I thought I had masses in common with, I don't have anything in common with anymore. That's the really sad thing. That's the saddest part of it. But carry on, Amy, have you finished? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I just think maybe, with more wisdom and as we become older and we're just more able to be in a place where we can accept the truth and realize that things are wrong. And just like, when we were in school and they taught us about that spinning globe and everything, and the kids were just like, everybody thought that, it sounded crazy. And then we had to learn about, well, you'd fall off the earth, when you get to that edge. That's when well, don't you know
It's
that?
really sad. We don't know anything about the place we live in, really, isn't it?
Right. So it's just like so I guess we're programmed for so long that it's kind of hard to um all of a sudden to wake up, shake it up and everything. And but
It's
I've
a shame
always
we don't
been,
know all this stuff, though, isn't it? And
it
it's part of
is,
what we live in, like we know it all. It should be taught
yes,
as children. And
I know. And I've always been not afraid to be to the march to the beat of my own drum, or whatever the saying is. You know, I don't care what other people think, but it is hard. And I think it's getting harder for the younger people today to go against the grain or whatever. But, you know, prayerfully people will just, you know, continue to wake up. But we have to probably be careful how that we wake the people up. And some people, if they knew the lies the media has told us, a lot of people realize it anyway, but even to the point that they manipulate the films and everything that we see. I mean, we all know politicians are going to get up and tell lies and everything. That's what they do. But I didn't know they were, you know, manipulating, and you know, people aren't really in the same room together and things like that. Like, that's a lot to stomach. And I think some people would become so angry if they really realized
Really
it.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it could, you know, really
They often people say, "Oh,
something.
it doesn't interest me. What's it going to do for me?" and all that. But if they actually knew the truth, they wouldn't want it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
No,
So,
Anyway, thank you for that, Amy.
oh, you're
Thank you very much.
welcome.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Billy?
hey, I want to say this has been an absolute pleasure, because you're just hearing different viewpoints, and I'm learning every day, right? So, Amy, what you just said is even about your daughter, like, you know, she's, you know, we're going to be ready when we're ready. So trying to push it onto someone is not right, because you're right. It is
right.
disruptive. Imagine her going to her friends, and the whole thing changes the
Yeah, did you
dynamic.
hear me?
Let it
I
go.
prefer the awake ones, because I
Yeah.
don't want the battling, but I never expected to have it in my own family and with my friends.
Exactly.
Just, I mean, I thought it was out there, not with people who've known me, like they trusted me to be their mum and their daughter, whatever it is, and now they look at me,
Oh,
she's crazy. She's
right.
going on.
Like, I've raised you guys all my life, and now you think, oh, excuse me, now you think I'm friggin' crazy? You know, like, no, I know what's going on. I know when I'm standing up. I know what I see, right? And, you know, the good thing is just drop seeds. A lot of people say that. It's about little seeds along the way, and you might say this, and a year later, even if it takes 5 years, that seed took 5 years to grow. Some trees do take. A bamboo tree will take, what is it, like 10 years to grow 1 meter, but after that it takes, you know, in 2 years it'll grow 30,
Yeah.
you know, level, right? So that seed was, you know, just water it and nurture it like we've done with our kids. We don't want to spoil relationships with our family over the shape of the earth, right? You know,
They couldn't be very strong though, because after, you know, I thought they were stronger than they were, because these people, well, I don't know, they're just, anyway.
Right.
yeah, I get you know, I get you. Sometimes you feel like slapping them as well, like, hey, snap out of it, right? You know, like on whatever, you know, that aircraft scene where, you know, the people are slapping the same person, and hey, you can't do it. You just got to, like, you know, ease into it. And, you know, my younger son was like 15 when I first told him. So imagine that, being a 15-year-old kid at school. You still got to do your high school, finish your exams, and, you know, you can't. That's very hard. I feel like I shouldn't have done that to him now. Do you know what I mean? Hold back. Don't tell him. He's not ready for it. Let him.
But you sometimes, you know, like, not being horrible, Billy. My son's coming over to Australia, and they haven't got jobs, and they've got a certain bit. They've got more than I thought they were going to have to come over. But
What
I
does
said,
he
you know,
do?
so
I
he's
can help
an
you.
electrician, but it doesn't work. Everything's different. You know, that you have to have different regulations and do exams and stuff. But my point was that they're going over to Australia when Australia's in its worst recession and a zero rate interest. And it's like, oh my God, he's moving over to Australia then.
Wow. So you guys know about that over there, but over here our government tells us that we're all hunky-dory. Like, it's just ridiculous.
No,
Yeah?
it's only because Trouble told me. Trouble About, have you heard of her? She's Australian.
Oh, yeah, I have. Yeah.
Trouble About,
Wow.
telling me about it the other day.
You know, I have this thing. Okay, so keep questioning things. We just got to keep questioning things. I've got a saying, you probably saw it on screen before. Question everything. And if someone tells you not to question it even more. And I reckon that's in your personal life too. Like, you know, imagine if you know, my wife, I've been married for 27 years, 28 next month. Imagine if I kept asking her a question. She said, no, you know, no, I kept making excuses. No, you can't question that. I'd question it even more. And I reckon in relationships, right? A lot of relationships are bad because people don't question enough. There's too much. So question things. And that should be on a micro level and a macro level. Like, hey, macro level is I'm questioning the shape of the earth and where I live. And there's really nothing wrong with that. I shouldn't be ashamed of trying to work out where I'm, like, while I'm here, where I am. Yeah.
But it is really strange that some of us really see it or know there's something wrong, or once you see it, you can't go back and pretend you didn't see it,
100%.
and other people don't see it at all. But can I just say, so your book,
The Elusive Curve?
really, yeah, say the title again, Billy.
The Elusive Curve, like hard to find curve. The Elusive Curve. It's on Amazon, it's available on my website. Actually, if you do want to, if any of the listeners do want to purchase a copy, you can, during checkout on my website, if you enter the code ZIG, Z-I-G, you get 25% discount, which will give you, you know, like a $10 saving or whatever. So yeah, jump on, grab a copy. You know, another thing I'm doing is I've organized a day called Test the Curve Day. Sorry, I bumped the microphone just then. Test Curve Day 2020. So what's never been done before ever in the history of ever is never before have people on one day collectively gone and tested the curve. And I want to organize a day, I'm hoping March 21st, when the equinox occurs, because that's best weather conditions for both people in the northern and you know, southern hemisphere, regardless of however you want to view the model of the earth. Whether you're close, when you're on that side of the ring or that side of the ring, whatever. So you know, I launched that a couple of weeks ago. About 200 people have liked the page. I've had globe birthers reach out to me. Hey, great idea. Why hasn't anyone ever done this before? So what I'm trying to do, a lot of people say, oh, but that's cause of refraction, and you were there on that day. So imagine in Melbourne if you had 5 people doing the same tests on one day. Well, that's never been done before. Imagine in London if we did that, and, you know, America and wherever, yeah, Argentina, all around the world. And we've never, ever done that.
Do you want to, Billy, do you want to come back and do a little hangout about that then?
Let's do it. And I'm excited about that. And I could probably invite a globe birther who's probably one of the most... the nicest globe birther, you know, because he's searching for answers. And I like talking to people that are looking for truth rather than being, oh no, this is how it is. You know, I like people that, hey, I might have that. When I hear people go, oh, I was wrong, I like that. That's part of learning. Yeah. We've all been wrong before, right? You know, there's nothing wrong with it. You haven't gone to space. You didn't go up there. When Einstein came up with his theories, he never went to space, and neither did anyone else. So he could have got it wrong.
That's right.
Beyond, like,
Billy, do you want to? We'll have another hangout about that. But I've really enjoyed today. You've done really well on your first hangout, and
I've never done it before, actually. I was a bit nervous. My hands are sweaty. Like,
yeah, you're in the grip of us women.
It's been great. It's like, yeah, anytime.
But I'd like to say thank you very much for joining for this. I mean, you've been a flat earth friend of mine for a while, and we've always messaged each other, and it's nice to actually have a real proper conversation with you. Thank you so much, Billy. To you too, and Patricia, and Amy, and the chat room.
I don't want this to end, but it has to. I know. Good on you, Karen.
It's only a pause button. You'll be back.
Before we go, I'm just going to say what you do is amazing. Like the time that it must take, number one, to organize all this. You know, the effort and just, you know, copying from people. And I'm going to share your stuff. I always share your stuff. You know that. I'm going to keep doing so because what you do needs to be done, and that's it. That's all I have.
Oh, Billy, love you lots. Share and care.
Yeah.
But it's been a great hangout, and Billy will come back again on another hangout. And Amy, Thank you so much under circumstances that you're with us. And
thank
Patricia as well.
you.
Patricia's not been very well for a few days, so thank you, Patricia.
Oh, feel better. Hope you feel better,
I hope you
Patricia.
feel better, Patricia.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love you all.
And I
Love
hope
you,
2020
Patricia. Love you
and I hope
all.
2020 is better for everyone this year.
Yeah, 2020 vision. Come on, everybody. Anyway.
I know you've had a hard start to the year so far, so you know, like God bless and you know, make your parents proud. That's all we're going to do, right? Speak the truth.
Right.
Yeah, go out. You know, we've learned lessons, and you've learned as well, right? Go out and tell people what you learned.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Billy. On that note, it's going to be goodbye from us, but we can talk for a few minutes on the Hangout afterwards. But for the actual chat room, bye everybody, and thank you so much for listening.
Everybody.
I'm waving at the screen. Bye everybody, because we used to do the live Hangouts. So I just feel like I'm saying bye. I'm waving now. I'm waving to everyone. Bye. Bye everyone.
See you, ladies. Bye.